Hello everyone, nice to see you again. My name is Michael. Today my interview is about education and study life in countries in Middle East. When I mentioned Middle East, countries in Middle East like United Emirates or like cities like Dubai and Abu Dhabi, some of you may think about like super rich life there, or like the super sports cars, or like very fancy shopping malls and lots of stuff like that. But what about the education? What about the education system? What about the higher education and the universities in those places? So today I asked a friend of me to let him, he was born and raised in Dubai, and I asked him to share some of the very useful information to you. And I hope that you can really get any of those information. And also, if you haven't decided what kind of university you want to apply, maybe universities in Abu Dhabi or maybe university in Dubai will be a nice choice for you. In today's interview, I asked him to talk about, first of all, I asked him to introduce a little bit about the system, the education system in those countries. And then I asked him talk about what kind of program he think that will be most attractive for foreign students. So he actually shared lots of useful information. For example, he thinks that universities in Abu Dhabi and in Dubai, they focus more on teaching than on research. And also he mentioned several famous university in those countries, like American University in Dubai and University of Jordan, for example. And also he talked about life in Dubai, and he saw that first of all, there are no safety issue. Students are very safe there, and also this life are not all the people are very rich in those places. He mentioned that most of people are like normal people. So so you don't need to scared about the living cost, too much about the living cost. But he mentioned actually the living cost is a little bit higher in Dubai than most of the cities in the US. What impressed me most is that he mentioned that more than 90% of population in Dubai didn't get any citizenship of United Emirates. It's very, very hard for people to get citizenship or green card in those countries. Even him, a guy who born and raised and work and study in Dubai during his entire life, he didn't get the visa he didn't get the citizenship and the passport. But on the other hand, the visas are quite easy to get. If you really want to work there after graduation, you can apply for a working visa, and it's very, according to him, it's very easy to work in cities like Dubai. So let's begin our interview. Oh, before we begin our interview, I want to share a very good story to you. Do you guys remember that last time I interviewed a French girl who a fan of Chinese language, and she started learning Chinese very young, and then she became a tutor in a very prestigious Chinese universities. And today she shared a story with me that one of her students, it's a real story, one of her students in Dalian actually watched our show, and he or she recommended our video clip to her. I think that's the happiest thing for me. Like my program, my show, and my interview could be watched by lots of audience, and they saw their friends, their teachers on my video. That's quite, I think it's quite amazing. And thank you very much for your patience during the whole several months. And I want to let you begin to watch our interview. Thank you. So let me begin our interview. First of all, can you introduce a little bit of yourself?
Yeah, my name is Bassam Arafat, and I am from the Middle East, from Jordan in particular, but I was born and raised in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. I studied over there, and I got my undergraduate degree in chemistry, and now I'm doing a master's in business administration at Case Western Reserve University here at Cleveland, Ohio.
So you mentioned that you born and lived and you passed through all your education, your experience in Dubai, right?
Well, yeah, some schooling in Dubai, and then most of it in a city right next to Dubai, which is about half an hour. It's called Sharjah.
Sharjah.
And that's one of the I think the more cultural cities in the United Arab Emirates in general. Dubai is always, you hear about Dubai being a big city, a modern city. Sharjah is a little more, traditional, more cultural in terms of Arab Middle Eastern background.
So, if I want to ask you to describe the life there, what kind of, very simply, what kind of simple words you can describe?
Yeah.
Modern, big city life. Dubai and your hometown. Can you describe the life there?
Absolutely. Growing up in Dubai, it was, I think, a special experience because Dubai grew very fast over the years, and you got to see a very quick transformation from a desert city into a well-established modern city today. I think also in Dubai, what's special about Dubai is that people over there love technology and they love innovation. They are very quick to adopt all these nice new innovations and technologies. I think also the United Arab Emirates is very open to many different cultures. There's many nationalities over there, and maybe more than 90% of the population is foreign to United Arab Emirates itself. And I think a lot of people are open to a lot of other people from many different countries around the world. So if you were to visit United Arab Emirates, no matter which city you go to, you will not feel like you are out of place because no one will treat you like you're a foreigner.
So most of the people, more than 90% of population there are foreigners.
That is correct. That is correct.
Yeah, it's kind of, I'm shocked about that information.
It is a very unique experience, definitely.
All right. So today I want to ask you about topics related to education there. So I think maybe most of our audience are from Chinese-speaking countries like China and Taiwan, etc. So maybe they are interested in studying in the future in cities like Dubai and Abu Dhabi and United Emirates and also Saudi Arabia, something.
Yeah.
So first of all, I want to let you to introduce a little bit the education system in Dubai because you are quite familiar with. You born there.
Yeah.
So can you introduce the system?
So first, let me start by saying that growing up in the United Arab Emirates in a private school, I did have a lot of. Well, to be fair, I did have one friend from China, and at the time, it's a funny story, really. My friend Chao. So one time I was sitting in the classroom and Chao's father comes inside. It was the first time I met him. And when he walked in the room, he started speaking Arabic. And everyone stared at him, and we were all a little surprised that, we're not, growing up, we weren't very used to having a lot of Chinese people compared to today. There's a lot more. But, this Chinese man looking very nice, he comes into the room and starts speaking fluent standard Arabic, very professional way of speaking Arabic. And then we were all very, very impressed by the way, he presented himself and how he asked for his son. So I think it would be very nice to see more Chinese people speaking Arabic, learning the language. And I think that would be very nice for them in terms of if you want to get into some kind of public speaking or some kind of government relations or anything like that. In terms of the kinds of schools there are in the Middle East and United Arab Emirates in general, so there's a it depends on what you're looking for. There are, in United Arab Emirates in particular, there's an American University in Sharjah, and then there's American University in Dubai. These are the two most famous ones for foreign students, and they're the very good colleges in the Middle East in general. There's a University of Sharjah as well, and then the University of Sharjah is also good, and then it kind of also depends on what you're focusing on and what you want to aim for. Some universities are good, for example, for languages. Some universities are better for science. Some are better for arts. And then some other, if you're looking for different countries as well in the Middle East, of course, there's Jordan. I think University of Jordan is a very good one in terms of, I think there are a lot of foreign students there who go and they do learn the language. So yeah, there are some very good ones in Syria, but I don't know if it's very accessible right now. But I think eventually it should be worth looking at in the future. And I'm sure everybody would do that eventually. But I think if you do a Google search, you might find some more information that might have overlooked.
So if we focus on the higher education, so you think can you give us any some of the information about the higher education in those countries?
Mm-hmm.
It's almost the same thing as the US. Like they have 4 years of bachelor degree and then master and then doctor.
That is correct. That is okay. The similar curriculum, curriculum and similar programs. I would say, though, to be completely straight and honest with you, the Middle Eastern universities in general, they lack the research and innovation focus. It's more education based, but there are very good prospects for applications, like for engineers and job placements, but a little weaker on the research and development, but that's not an issue either because it's continuously growing and anyone can be part of that growth.
Yeah, because as a Chinese myself, when I think about the university, the future, can I pursue my degree in those countries? The first thing appeared in my mind will be the medical education,
mm-hmm.
because I heard that in those Arabic countries, medicines are very advanced, and the country and the universities there are the base for those medical research.
Mm-hmm.
And also I heard that there's a university called King Abdullah Science and
Technology, right?
in Saudi Arabia.
Mm-hmm.
And also there's a NYU, New York University in mm-hmm. Abu Dhabi.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you mentioned the American University in Dubai,
right?
Etc. So I think I want to ask you, what kind of program are more attractive in those countries for foreign students,
right?
Especially for Chinese. I mean, what kind of program? For example, I mentioned medical, and also maybe like scientific, like very basic researches like physics or chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
So, what kind of program you think that you will recommend?
Well, from my knowledge, and so I'm going to start with the colleges that you mentioned. New York University, for example, the Abu Dhabi campus.
Yeah.
So a lot of these franchise universities started, opening up in Abu Dhabi and Dubai. I don't know why, but everybody was a little curious why all these, universities were opening campus branches in Dubai and Abu Dhabi, and even some of them closed down after a certain period of time. Like University of Michigan had a campus, and then they shut down. So the idea there was that, okay, the brand name is good, but we weren't so sure about how good the satellite campus in Dubai and Abu Dhabi are. So that's something that definitely you need to look into. Make sure. I'm sure as well that they're accredited, but I would also double check on that. And But overall, I think even if you do get into NYU Abu Dhabi, I think you have a good connection with NYU in the.
I think they are the same one. The
Right.
degree are the same.
Yeah, I think so. King Abdulaziz University in Saudi Arabia. That's I think a relatively new university that opened up. They had all of a sudden a lot of money was put into it, and then the next day a full university came out, and there's really no history or background that I can tell you about what's. But I think with the rankings and I think some reputation is beginning to build up. It's really good. But from the ones I told you about, American University of Dubai, American University of Sharjah, and maybe University of Sharjah, those are the good ones in the United Arab Emirates and the countries around it. In terms of medicine and medicine and doctors and stuff like that, I would say I do not know very well about that, but I would look into as well Egypt, for example. They're very well known for their hard work and.
You mean the medical program?
Medical schools, yeah.
Okay.
There's also I think I may have overlooked as well. There's the American University of Beirut in Lebanon.
Oh yeah. I
It's
heard
a good
that.
one, very good one. And Lebanon is a very nice country.
Yeah.
Lovely people. And then you have Egypt as well. There's American University of Cairo or something like that, which is also really great. And there's a bunch of universities, and really it's your choice, and what your taste is like, where you like to be. Every country has a different style.
Yeah, the reason I mentioned the University Abdul Hakim of Science and Technology in Saudi Arabia, because this university is quite famous in China, and because there's a news about a Chinese guy who got accepted by the university, and he got a huge amount of scholarship, and also the scholarship cover his living cost there. So then he wrote an article about his life there, and lots of Chinese readers are so curious and so surprised that life in this new university are so fantastic.
Oh.
Like it's like a rich, super rich guy's life, because everything is new. Their dormitories are quite advanced and technology, very high tech. So that's the reason why this university are quite famous in China.
Oh, I see.
And you mentioned that different university has different disciplines, like worthwhile to apply. And for Chinese students, because those countries in Middle East, they are very rare. A little bit compared to English-speaking countries, not very many Chinese people apply to those universities.
Yeah.
So for some of Chinese applicants, maybe I think it's a chance, because they don't have to compete with lots of people, and maybe they may got accepted by those decent universities. And also, I want to ask you about I think the most important thing for those applicants they care is that what kind of standard exam they need to pass before they got accepted, and what can they use English in those universities, and do they need to learn the Arabic, and what kind of exam for Arabic specifically?
So I think. So it also depends on the university. Growing up, I went to American University of Sharjah, and I applied to English-speaking colleges. So for me, for the American University of Sharjah, for example, and American University of Dubai, I submitted a TOEFL and high school grades, and I think maybe an SAT, but I'm not sure. Going into the undergraduate degree. There's, of course, there are the usual MBA programs. They require the usual GMAT, for example. And then for the Arabic, so some of the universities are English-speaking, some of them are Arabic-speaking, some of them are Arabic and English-speaking. So I cannot speak for the Arabic-speaking one because I did not apply to any of those.
Oh, you took your education
in English.
In full English environment.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
yeah, That's very. I'm curious about that. You speak Arabic, right? Naturally, but why you apply for the English speaking program?
I grew up in a private school.
Oh, okay.
My parents put me in a private school, and the primary language was English. So I grew up and I learned English, and I was speaking English my whole life. A lot of people do speak English in the Middle East as well, especially in the Dubai region and that area. Everybody speaks English. So.
Oh, in Dubai, you mean?
Yeah. And then for the Arabic ones, I could look it up and let you know what it's like to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you just offer very important information that lots of people they really study in English program, in full English program in those countries, and they are like you. Maybe they are Arabic, but they pursue their education, and in place like Dubai, lots of people speak English. So that's very convenient for Chinese students because they learn English.
That is correct.
Yeah, so most of them learn English.
That is correct.
That's very good. So now I want to turn to the life there because Chinese students maybe and applicants will. I think they will also be very curious about life there. And when we mention Dubai and Abu Dhabi, as you mentioned, we think about for Chinese students maybe we think about very rich guys city, and we have to spend a lot of money to live there, to rent house, to rent apartment, and the living costs are so high, and we have to just live as a rich guy. So do you think that's true?
So the living expenses might be a little bit high, or
compared to maybe, for example, compared to US.
Even compared to the US a little bit. I think generally speaking, it is a little bit expensive. There's a lot of how do you say, high fixed costs of living.
Yeah.
And then. So you were asking about
the life there, like how much, for example, how much money they need to spend every year.
Oh, okay.
And for example, the tuition fees.
Yeah, so it's a little bit expensive. So you should, I don't want you to put your to lower your expectations. You should, keep your expectations high so you won't be surprised. I don't want anyone to go there and then struggle. So you have to keep at least some cushion between when you go there and how much you're expecting to spend. Be careful. In terms of is everybody rich and famous there? No, that's not true. So you do see a lot of advertising in terms of some people are very rich and they do have expensive cars and everything, but not everybody's like that. So a lot of the life there is normal, like you would be anywhere else. However, in terms of transportation, you are expected to drive. There is some public transportation, but not very efficient yet. It's come a long way. It has improved a lot, but you're expected to do some transportation and going around like that. But you're not expected to have expensive cars or anything like that. But you can if you want, so they do exist. And then there's a little bit of everything.
Because I watched the news about the taxis in Dubai. They are all super sports cars. So that gave me a picture that they are quite.
Yeah. That's
quite
Dubai is known for doing the unusual things.
Yeah.
Spending on unusual.
Yeah. A Ferrari for taxis. So that's kind of crazy for me. Yeah. Now, my next question about you mentioned that 90% of population, for example, in United Emirates are not the citizens, right? So some of Chinese students or Chinese speaking audience, they may be interested in how they get the visa after the graduation. Can they work there? Do you have any idea about that?
Yeah, so they can. It's very, very possible, highly probable that you will get a job there if you do well, study there. As a foreigner, you're also in demand, so they will take you. And,
okay.
Yeah, so you're fine. And then there are many ways to navigate the visa. Is not like an issue like it is here in the United States. So it's a lot easier to stay there and manage.
So, for example, if any of the students find a job, they can stay there.
Yeah.
Without any lottery, like they don't need to.
No, there's no lottery, but you have. So the company is going to sponsor you, and it can continuously sponsor you forever. But you're not really ever going to have a citizenship or any sort of green card.
Or there are no green card.
There is no such thing. So
they just expand visa, work visa.
Right. So I am from Jordan, like I told you, my citizenship. I was born and raised in Dubai, but I still have to renew my visa.
Wow.
Every 3 years. So now I'm also because I'm not working there anymore and I'm going to visit my family. I have to get a tourism visa for 3 months to visit them. So do not have any expectations in terms of in terms of citizenship or anything like that. But you can. I mean, there are many different visas to accommodate you as long as you need to stay there. That's okay.
Yeah. So it's sufficient. I think it's quite sufficient for those students when they graduate. It's sufficient for them to work there.
Yeah.
The visas are available. Are very available. But you mentioned the citizenship are very, very hard.
Mm-hmm.
Even you who born there and raised there and work there, study there, cannot get a citizenship.
Yeah.
And that's why 90% of population, more than 90% of population in for example, in United Emirates are not citizenship people because they are very hard to get.
That is correct.
Yeah, but I think we can regard them local people because they share the same facilities. They are the same culture.
You can, sometimes. For some, yes. For some, yes.
So so that's quite interesting because I heard that. Do you know what way will be the best way to get a citizenship? This is extra question.
In the United Arab Emirates.
Yeah.
There's really no way.
No way.
There's really no way. It's just,
for example, if you marry a citizen, can you get the?
I think if you're a female and you marry into a male, you do get citizenship. But if you are male and you marry female, you do not.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the most strict.
Yeah, they're
processing.
Yeah, I think that is the case. Like I don't even check anymore because it's not worth the time. So.
Yeah. Okay. So thank you very much for accepting my interview. I think I will ask you the last question. So, can you wrap up all the questions we discussed and give our audience 3 tips if they want to apply university in this country? Can you give them 3 or 4 or 2 or tips?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the Middle Eastern Arabic culture in general, we're very impressed, and we value very much the Chinese culture. There's a lot of reference to the Chinese culture in our literature in the Arabic language. So I think it'd be nice to see more Chinese students learning the Arabic language, and vice versa. The Arab students learning the Chinese language. I think that would be very nice. Even though you do not need to learn the language, it's fine. I've met a lot of Chinese people who do not speak Arabic, and it's fine. It's not a big deal at all. I think you'll enjoy the weather. I did not mention that, but it's nice and sunny. There's a lot of beach water, so that's always good. Keeps you happy. And it is a multicultural place. You're away from home, and you won't feel like a stranger. So don't worry about that. You're not going to feel like a stranger at all. You might like it. You might want to stay. And I think that anyone who does go to the Middle East, they will really enjoy it, because generally speaking, the culture there is very open and very friendly. In that time.
I have an extra question because you mentioned the environment are very good, people are very friendly. What about the safety issue? Because in the US, I think the safety issue is a big issue because it's not very safe in some places in the night. But what about in Dubai, for example? Do you think it's kind of a very, very safe place?
Yeah, it's a very safe place. It's also a very clean place. You do not have to worry about that. I mean, there might be 1 or 2 areas, and that's not even that bad.
Okay.
But no one even goes there. So.
So just students, they can be very safe.
Oh yeah.
They just focus on studying.
Definitely. In the education institutes, it's just it's very safe. So they have no worries whatsoever. And then if you need anything, any questions or anything like that, I'll be happy to answer anything.
Okay. And thanks, Bassam, for accepting my interview. And I think tomorrow you will go back to Dubai.
I will, yeah.
Tomorrow you will go to Dubai. What a day! So you just finished your semester in the US.
Right. I did, and tomorrow I'm going home. And I hope I was able to help anyone who was thinking about going to the Middle East. I recommend that you do. It's a different experience, and I'll be happy if I was able to convince somebody to go.
Yeah, I also will be happy that if someone, after watch my program, they decide to go to this country. That will be the most the proudest thing I have done. And thank you, Bassam, for.
Thank you, Michael.
And if I have another questions, issues, or topics, I will maybe I will ask you to accept.
I would be happy to do anything for.
And I really want you to have a safe trip and have a very good holidays.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Bye bye.